Oh, hello guys! How is everybody doing today? So, today I have another interesting video, at least I think it's gonna be interesting for you. I'm gonna start talking about my desktop and I'm using OpenSUSE Tumbleweed and I've been using it for a while now. So I want you to see what's so special about this distro and why it's the best and one of my favorites Linux distros. So let's get to it. Okay guys, so let's start with a little bit of history, what really Tumbleweed is. So this distribution was born from the original SUSE Linux and it's sponsored by SUSE, which makes the SUSE Enterprise Linux. So this is a big company and the relationship between the OpenSUSE and SUSE Enterprise Linux desktop is, well, it's that SUSE Linux desktop. It's based on the OpenSUSE Tumbleweed and shares a common code base with the OpenSUSE lib. This may sound very similar and familiar, for example, Fedora and the Red Hat relationship. So Tumbleweed builds on decades of usage, testing and debugging by hundreds of power users, developers and system administrators. The updates are thoroughly tested against industry-grade quality standards, taking advantage of build service other Linux distributions envious. Not only is each new version of a package individually tested, but different clusters of versions are tested against each other. So this makes it so good, making sure your system is internally consistent. Now this distro starts somewhere in the beginning of the 1990s. It was a small project, as far as I know, from 3 German students. Basically the idea was they start translating Slackware and everything starts from there. So they little by little started this SUSE Linux, and this is one of the oldest still alive distros, similar to Debian, Red Hat, Slackware and some other. Actually there's not that many. And this SUSE or Tumbleweed in this case, it is RPM based, just like Red Hat and Fedora, but not so much. It has its own package manager, it's called Zipper, plus some unique tools that are awesome and makes it so special. We will see about this. So those, if you go to the opensuse.org, you can find the download pages and the lib download pages. But anyway, those are some of the things that makes it so good and so special. This is the open build service. Let's open up and see. So OpenSUSE build service, it's a public instance of the open build service, or for short OBS, used for development of the OpenSUSE distribution and to offer packages from same source for Fedora, Debian, Ubuntu, SUSE, Linux Enterprise. So basically this is something very close to the Arch user Linux repository. I'm gonna talk and show you a little bit more later. So the other thing is openQA. So the openQA is basically before any human being is allowed anywhere near a snapshot, openQA tests that snapshot over 100 times across 4 different hardware architectures. OpenQA actually does proper reward scenarios, installation, upgrades, dual booting, encrypted LVM, KD, GNOME, XFCE, name it, they do it. You name it, we test it, as they say actually. So, and we don't test it well enough, we most certainly want to. And you can help contribute, of course, if you want to. So every test checks that every screen looks the way we want it to look for users, and every function that it's tested presses the same keys and clicks on the same mouse button that a user would, and then OpenQA confirms that piece of software behaves in the way it has been taught to expect. So if that's not awesome, I don't know what it is. This is basically one of the reasons why OpenSUSE Tumbleweed for a rolling release distro it's so stable. Yes, sometimes there is some package that sneaks up, but it's rolling release, and if you compare it to other rolling release distros, well, Tumbleweed, it's you can't even say it's rolling, you know, it's that stable. But anyway, so the other thing, it's YaST, of course. YaST, it's awesome. I'm gonna show you a little bit more about YaST in a bit. Another thing is Kiwi. Kiwi is basically their ISO builder that it's used by so many people right now. It's so good. They have some documentation here if you wanna read about it, but I'm not gonna spend that much time. So basically this is all the little bit of information and history that I want to start with. Now let's take the distribution, and for the start I want to show you the installation first because it's so good. I'll show you now. Okay guys, I'm gonna show you the installation. I'm gonna use a virtual machine for this because obviously I already have installed it. So let's get to it. Alright, so here we are. This is the installation tool for OpenSUSE, and especially in our case Tumbleweed. So as you can see, this is not something that anyone else is using. It's called YaST or YaST installer. We'll see about this a little bit later. I'll show you how extensive this is. So first, you have a license agreement. It's pretty basic. You can read about it. It's nothing special, nothing surprising. Just click next. Activate online repositories. I strongly recommend you to do that, yes. Now I leave only the default checked and keep going. I know many people don't really like this installer for some reason, but for me it's really good. You'll see in a minute. You have so much tools on your hands. You can do whatever you want here, pretty much. So let's pick a desktop. You have a few options. For example, I'm gonna choose a XFCE, click next. You have a partition tool. You can use the guided setup, or if you know what you're doing, you can go to the expert partitioner. But I do recommend, if you don't have another drive and if you already backed up all your data, just use the guided setup. For example, I'm not gonna use the logical volume management. The default file system is Btrfs, and quick mention here, this distribution OpenSUSE, it's one of the first, if not the first, that start using the Btrfs file system and snapshots, which is pretty good. If for some reason someday something goes wrong, you can always roll back and fix it. So even if you have rolling release like Tumbleweed, you still have a layer of security that if something goes wrong, you have still working desktop. So click next here and you have the same setup. If you have multiple hard drives as I do, you just have to pick the drive you want to use. So click next. Now it's synchronizing the NP server. Okay, in Eastern New York it's fine right now. Creating user, that's pretty basic so far. Let's click next. Yes, I do want to use it. Now this screen, it's, well, one of my favorite things here. I'm gonna show you. You have the possibility to change anything here that you want. For example, if you don't want, or basically CSSH service will be disabled, just click enable, wait a few seconds and it's now enabled. Same thing for the SSH port will be blocked. I want it to be open, just click there. I'm gonna use this installation later for something I am preparing. So let's go to the software. You need to click the details. Now you have so many more desktops that you want to install here. For example, you have Cinnamon, LXD, LXQT, you have the Sway tiling window manager, you have the Mate, Deepin, Budgie, and it's pretty much one click installation. Just for example, if you want the Cinnamon, just one click. Oh, okay. Maybe this is not the best example, but anyway, so if you want to, well, basically if you have software that you don't use or you don't like, just come here and start unchecking stuff. For example, this mugshot thing, I don't really want it, but okay, it's quick fix. As you can see, it gives you the resolution because it is a software conflict. So I do not install pattern Cinnamon. Okay, try again, and now everything should be fine. I don't like the Parole media player, for example. I don't like the Praga or whatever the name is. I don't really use any of those. For example, I want to use, let's say, something else. I'll show you in a minute. If you go to every single one of these categories here, you can play with it. You can select the software exactly what you want it, or what you don't want it, you can remove it. Let's see, I want the console tools. Let's say I need the pattern base for 32-bit, of course I do. You have some other options here. You can just take a look. Multimedia, let's say I want Audacity. It's pretty easy to install, as you can see. I want GIMP 2. I want VLC as an extra package. Office software, there's none installed. I'm not gonna use simple scan, so I am not using that. For the graphics, I think we are pretty good here. Yes, games. I'm not gonna use any of these games. I'll show you later about the gaming here. Now, if you are using it for server based, you have the options of what you really need here. If you are a developer or specific tool for development, you can find it here. Once again, it's pretty easy. If you do web development, everything you need, it's a one-click installation. Just click here and everything should be there. Okay, that's pretty much it. Click accept. So it's gonna give you the changes that it's going to be made. You can take a look little quick. If there's something you still see that you don't want or you want more of it, just go back and redo it. Now click continue. And that's pretty much it. You have the option to change the network manager, but I do not recommend it. For some reason, this switch to Wicked, it's not the best idea, but anyway, so click install and it gives you the little warning or confirmation. Just go with it and the installation starts. Another really cool thing I want to show you right now is during the installation, the installer, YaST in this case, it's checking all the packages if it's the latest version. If it's not, downloading the newest and latest version and installing that one. Basically it's working pretty good, because let's say, for example, Ubuntu, while you are installing the Ubuntu, you have the option to check the download software, download updates while installing the ISO or something like that. And it's recommended you always check that box, but at the end, when you finish installations, you always have some updates to do. I don't know what's up about that, but here in the Tumbleweed, when you finish the installations, you have the latest and greatest install. Doesn't matter how old the ISO is, well, of course, if it's not an year old, but anyway, you may have to update only some security keys or something like that, but the software is up to date. So that's all I wanted to show you about the installation. Let's get to the other thing I want to show you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about YaST, what YaST is. Let's open it little quick. It needs root password every time when you open it. So this is YaST. What YaST is, once again? Well, YaST is basically where you do all of your configuration in OpenSUSE, and it's not on other distributions. The YaST tool has got a GUI and command line version, so you can use it if you're logged into the desktop or if you have logged in remotely via SSH. But what really makes YaST so special is the vast amount of things you can configure in the tool, and YaST is totally separate from the standard desktop configuration tool such as those found in GNOME and KDE. YaST is as complete a configuration application as you find it on any desktop computer operating system. It's massive, it's all inclusive, and it's powerful. I know it's not been changed or updated for a while, but why would you change something that works so perfectly fine? Maybe they gonna make a little bit facelift if I want to, if I may use this. But anyway, so you can go through all the categories, but basically you have so much options here. Just click and do what you want to do. If you want to update online, just click it. It's gonna check for any available updates. You don't have to go through the terminal almost or at all, which is perfectly fine. You can check the software repositories. You can check, okay, there is no updates available right now. Let's close it. You can just change the system keyboard layout. If you have a printer, scanner, you can check the bootloader. You have so much options here. If you are more of a security, you can play with the firewall, which firewall it's a little bit more complex. It's not like the basic one in Ubuntu or whatever distribution you've been using till now. But anyway, if you are on in virtualization, you have so much options here that are pre-installed. Well, it's so good. If you start using it, you will see what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm gonna show you a little quick what are the first thing I do after new installation. So basically open the YaST software repositories and add some community repositories that helps a lot. This is the Packman repositories and it used to be NVIDIA here, but for some reason now NVIDIA is added by default, which I really love. But anyway, once you add the Packman Essential and Packman repositories, you have so much more options to install some extra packages. Now, while we do that, let's just open the software manager and I'll show you exactly what I mean. First, when you open it, after you add some these Packman repositories and NVIDIA, as you can see, the YaST tool detects all the software that needs to be, well, that makes sense to be installed before you continue, which is fine. I like that. Just click accept for some of the software that is proprietary. For example, this is NVIDIA mostly, as you can see. Just click accept and continue. So now this is going to install all the drivers and all the missing software that it's not been installed before. While we do that, I like to go a little bit with the installed software. As you can see, it's not at all that much because I chose to be like that, as I already show you in the installation. I checked only the things I want to use. So this is pretty awesome. I know many distributions just they call them bloated. I wouldn't say bloated, but they come with so much software I'm not gonna use, and I know I'm not gonna use, and after the installation I just start uninstall them, which is for me a little bit extra work, but that's fine. So I want to be a little bit more efficient in this, so this is another reason I really like the OpenSUSE Tumbleweed and the installation. You can just remove and add all the software you want or you don't want. Once again, let's while we wait, I start customizing my distribution a little bit, adding some of my favorite wallpapers. I have a pretty good selections now that I'm pretty happy with, and I bring it with me all the time. It's a fall season, let's go with the fall leaf. I love this one. Well, basically I love all of them. So now a little bit of appearance things, theming, some icon stuff. I have a few specific themes that I really like. The Mirage is the first one. I have almost always installed the the utterly sweet and utterly north are the next I really do. There is a few more, but this should be good for now. And it's already looking pretty good. Okay, the installation successfully finished, and I noticed for some reason while it's installing the NVIDIA driver, it's not installing it all, so I have to manually add a couple more packages. I'll show you right now. So this is the first one, the NVIDIA driver. If you check that one, another accept, and you have the all other couple packages that needs to be installed. So that's all you have to do for the driver stuff. Wait again a little bit for this to be installed, and after that I do recommend to restart your machine. I just wanted to finish my customization little quick before I restart and start new. There is a few icon themes that I really like. The materials, the material original actually, and the fluent icon theme. This is my favorite ones, and I'm just cycling back and forth between those. Yeah, I still don't like the orancello or whatever the pronunciation of this is. And I'm going back to the material original icons. It's looking so good. For the cursors, I'm gonna leave it like that for now. And we are almost ready with the way I want it to look like. Now it's time to restart our system for the first time. And now after we come back after the restart, I'll show you real quick a couple more things that are very important, at least for me, that I do after new installation. And the first one is again installing updating the system. As you can see here, it's not, at least I'm not expecting to be any updates after the fresh install. As I mentioned in the installation part, the installer, it's pulling all the latest software during the install, so that's why you have no updates to be installed after fresh install. Now this part, it's installing OP. What OP is, it's basically an OBS package installer. This is, as I mentioned before, I believe, it's a little cute tool that allows you to install, for example, that allows you to install software that it's not in the default repositories. This is available to you when you add the Packman repository. Now, when you install the OP, you can start installing all the codecs with OP codecs. It finds everything that you need for your system, so everything should be running pretty well, even the YouTube if you like, all the gaming stuff if you like, all the YouTube content, all the videos you play on your machine, so everything should be pretty secured with this codecs installation. As you can see, finds everything just fine. It takes a few minutes to install everything, and after that you are golden. Now at this point I just wanted to finish a little more of the customization I do with my system. I started with the KDE, but I switched to XFCE a little bit later. Well, I wanted to learn more about XFCE. I've been pushing myself now to use the XFCE, and we'll see how that's gonna go, but that's a topic for another video. As you can see, I'm pretty much done. That's how I use my KDE. Now let's start installing some software that I want and that I need. Again, YaST is your best friend here. You see how easy it is to set up your system and install all the software that you need. Of course, we start with the wine staging for gaming. Gaming is pretty important still. Of course, when I have the time to do some gaming. So let's install Steam too. Lutris is in the default repository here. Makes it pretty easy. And a few more packages needs to be installed. Okay guys, so that's pretty much it. That's the basic stuff I do after new installation. This is all the things I really like for OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, and I think this is very good This is absolutely very good distribution, especially if you are a new user too. It's not really it's not really made for new users, but as you can see, especially if you start learning the YaST 2, you have so much possibilities. You have all the options you want to do, and you don't ever have to touch the terminal, which is all the dreaming for new users, I believe, because I am a new user too. Well, not that new anymore, but anyway. So another thing that I want to mention is I will show you little quick how the gaming is, because it's buttery sweet and I love it. It's easy to set up, it's easy to install all the software I need, and it runs amazing. You see in a second. Alright, so we are in game. This is Guild Wars 2. As you can see, it's running amazing. I'm not sure if you can catch what the game is doing, but I really like it. It's so much easy once again to set up and start gaming on the OpenSUSE Tumbleweed. You don't have to find an extra software. Everything it's in the default repositories. You don't have to look for problems, because there's none problems here with installing the software. And just couple of packages, a few minutes, and you are ready to go. It's that easy. So that's, I think, all I wanted to show you guys. It's a really amazing distribution. I really love it. I think it should get more attention, so more people gonna start using it and talk about it. I know there is nothing perfect in the world. There is some, of course, problems with this distribution too, but it's not that much. Of course, it's nothing perfect, but it's pretty close for me at least. So I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope you find it informational, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!